Part 2. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 11. Unlike other couples' interactions, their interactions are very frequent. Seeing this scene, Hitomi Matsushita couldn't help but imitate the nod and make the same sound. Ah, Yuki is so good, so cute, and Kurosawa is so handsome. Ai Shiina was immediately struck by it. She never expected that Yuki and her boyfriend would be so well matched, and they were even more adorable. Top academics and hot girls, handsome guys and beauties, big men and little darlings. Please, are you acting in a movie? Hinata always felt lost. Calm down. Ai Shiina's boyfriend Sato couldn't stand it any longer, so he reached out to retrieve her so as not to disturb her. With everyone watching, Kurosawa Hikaru knew that his performance was not good, so he smiled sheepishly and sat down. Blue, the first round is over, the results are announced. Seeing this situation, Chiyukui also reminded him in order to create an atmosphere of skipping this link. Ai Shiina is very enthusiastic and enjoys parties. Hearing this, she got out of her boyfriend's arms, ran to the table, picked up a small notebook, and wrote and drew. I announce that the first round of Karaoke Showdown, the rankings are as follows. After finishing writing, Shiina Aoi stood up and said loudly. Beep. Sato and his girlfriend cooperated tacitly, holding a whistle and blowing it twice. The first place is actually Ichinose and Kurosawa, who participated in the couple's duel for the first time. It's unbelievable. Their total score is as high as 191. Aoi Shiina held a small book, danced, and finally pointed at Kurosawa Hikaru and Ichinose Yuki. As soon as the score came out, people's scalps went numb and they looked at each other in shock. This should be the first time a karaoke showdown has a score of over 190, right? Chiyukui couldn't help but say. Kurosawa is too exaggerated. Hitomi Matsushita nodded. They have been playing karaoke score showdown for a long time. Basically, the average score of the karaoke showdown is around 175 points. The best score in history was achieved by Aoi Shiina and her boyfriend, who scored 183 points. The record of 183 points alone has been maintained for a year and has not been broken yet. But today, this historical record has been surpassed, and there is a gap of 8 points, which is terrifying. Second place turned out to be Shiina and Sato, with a total score of 179. What a pity, what a pity. If we work harder, maybe we can surpass our own record. Aoi Shiina went on to announce that she had a lot of scenes, her tone was changeable, and it was very funny. Third place is Kyu and Hinata, with 174 points. Fourth place, Panasonic and Yamamoto, with 168 points, is at the bottom. Yamamoto, you have to keep working hard. This is your best record. The game is over, so the next step is the main event. According to the items set before the game, today's punishment is a couple's adventure. The third place must complete the requirements of the first place, and the fourth place must accept the first place and the third place. Double request for the second place. Next, let us, the winner of the first round, make a big adventure request to the couple of Kyu and Hinata. It's my first time playing, and I'm not very good at it. Let Yuki-chan do it. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her holding the microphone and having a great time, and said with a smile. After all, I am new here, so I don't understand it very well, and I still don't participate that much. It doesn't matter if it's your first time. You have to be brave enough to try. We can discuss it. Don't be too restrictive. Just mention it casually, Chiyukui said. Let Yuki-chan make the decision first. There will be another group later. Kurosawa Hikaru looked at Yuki Ichinose beside him. Indeed, Yuki, have you made your decision? Shiina Ao thought for a while, felt it made sense, and then asked loudly. Ah. When his name was shouted, Itchy Nose Yuki suddenly came back to reality and was a little confused. "Yuki, are you too overwhelmed by Kurosawa's sweet words?" Seeing her unusual expression, Shiina Aoi realized that she didn't seem to have listened to his words just now, and joked. "What's the situation now?" Yuki Itchy Nose didn't deny it, just asked. "You have won the championship. Please ask Kyoyu and Hinata for your big adventure. Brother Guang, do you have any ideas?" Itchy Nose Yuki was still a little out of sorts, so she turned around and asked. "Kurosawa lets you decide." As Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head, Shiina Ao's voice also came. "Let me think about it. If Aoi and Hinata say it, the koalas will hold each other and kiss each other for a minute." Realizing that so many things had happened while he was distracted, Itchy Nose Yuki gradually came back to his senses, and after thinking about it, he said. "This is really a very challenging request, Kyoyu and Hinata team, please start your big adventure." Upon hearing this request, Shiina Ai smiled and greeted immediately. "It's so easy, Yuki. It seems that you have never experienced it and don't know the essence of a couple's adventure. If you lose later, it will be over." Chiyukui stood with one hand on her hips and said with a very provocative look. "Declaration to fight again. Aoi's desire for revenge is so strong." Aoi Shiina was just like the commentator, cheering from the side. Immediately afterwards, Hinata stood up straight, and Akizuki jumped up and hung directly on Hinata's body. She held his waist with her legs and kissed each other on the lips. Seeing this scene, Itchy Nose Yuki's eyes widened. In fact, because she had never had a boyfriend before, she had missed many multiple dates and had no chance to see him at all. Mostly she hangs out with 3 hot girls and occasionally meets up with their boyfriends. Such an intense, blushing kiss made her face feel hot. Losing means not losing. If you lose, it will be difficult to handle. It's really crazy to play. When Kurosawa Hikaru saw the hot kiss, his heart beat a little faster and he was deeply stimulated. Although he had guessed before, these hot girls played crazier than she expected. This kind of tongue kiss is considered easy, so what does it take to be considered powerful? 1 minute passed quickly. Next, it's Hitomi's turn. "Yuki, let me show you how to play couples adventure," Aoi Shiina said with a wicked smile. "Gilug." As soon as these words came out, Itchy Nose Yuki and Kurosawa Hikaru looked at each other, suddenly feeling a little expectant. Although it sounds terrible, after all, they are not here to accept the punishment. This kind of excitement emerges from the bottom of the heart and spreads throughout the body. Seeing their unfamiliar faces, Aoi Shiina looked at Hitomi Matsushita and Yamamoto aside and said. "Touch each other's important parts, direct contact, for 1 minute." As soon as these words came out, Kurosawa Hikaru and Itchy Nose Yuki were both stunned. No wonder Chiyukui said it was very relaxed just now. Compared with this, it is simply not on the same level. That's too much. Hitomi Matsushita couldn't help but complain when she heard this request. "If you lose, you have to accept the punishment." Shiina Ao smiled and didn't care about her complaints at all. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 12. Hitomi Matsushita and her boyfriend were still sitting in their original positions, and the punishment began. Under dim lights and music, they began their performance. Kurosawa Hikaru and Itchy Nose Yuki didn't dare to watch the scene. "Is it so exciting?" The two pretended to discuss and talk together, but they were actually embarrassed and didn't watch. They could imagine how embarrassing it was to accept such a punishment in front of so many people. "I don't know either. I haven't participated in the couple's adventure before. I just heard a little from Lan." Itchy Nose Yuki was also scared and her pretty face turned red. At this moment, she suddenly felt fortunate that Kurosawa Hikaru sang so well and won this karaoke duel. Otherwise, they would have become performers and let everyone watch. "Don't be shy, this is just an appetizer. Akizuki Aoi folded her arms, sitting in a cool and handsome manner, watching the performance of the duo on the sofa opposite her leisurely, and found that the champion duo was not watching, so she invited them. Appetizer. When this statement came out, Yuki Ichino's and Hikaru Kurosawa were numb. If they were real lovers, they might accept such punishment if they played a little crazier. But they were not real lovers. Not to mention the tongue kiss that Akizuki Aoi looked so relaxed, they had never even held hands or kissed each other on the face. With their scalps numbing, Hikaru Kurosawa and Yuki Ichino suddenly looked at each other. They didn't say anything, but they reached a consensus in their minds. We must not lose. We must win today. For Hikaru Kurosawa, he was very happy to have close contact with a blonde hottie like Yuki. After all, which man is not lustful? But even if he was a man, he would not expect to be in such an occasion with 3 couples watching. Not to mention the punishment that the Matsushita Hitomi couple received, even the Akizuki Aoi couple kissed in front of everyone, which was an act that he was ashamed to think about. For Yuki Ichino's, it was the same. Although she is a hot girl, she likes to play, dress up beautifully, be sought after, and sing praises of youth. But in fact, she was a good student before high school. She debuted as a hot girl in high school, and she was not very open since she was a child. So far, she has not even had a relationship. According to the current rhythm, it counts as half an hour for one round. We start at 6 o'clock, eat and rest at 7 o'clock, and play until 11 o'clock. There are probably 7 or 8 rounds. Can we hold on? Yuki Ichino's thought for a while and whispered. It should be possible. Kurosawa Hikari and her united front. At this time, a few lines of words appeared in front of Kurosawa Hikari. Task reminder, there are 4 hours left before the end time of Yuki Ichino's first date. Please note that there are still unfinished task goals. Unfinished goals, knee pillow for 3 minutes, let her look forward to the next date. Completed goals, increase your value in her mind. Entry-level singing voice 24-hour experience card, 4 hours left. Only 4 hours left. Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned when he saw this reminder. He figured it out in a flash. Last night, after finishing his part-time tutoring job, he returned home and met Yuki Ichino's at around 10 o'clock in the evening, triggering the task. In other words, the task does not start from the date, but from the moment the task is triggered. Knee pillow for 3 minutes. Realizing the task goal, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but look down at Yuki Ichino's thighs. She was wearing super short hot pants, a shoulder-bearing short-sleeved hoodie, and a long hem, which was a combination of invisible pants. This outfit can make the legs look longer. Although Yuki Ichino's is 163 centimeters tall, her body proportions are very good. Her pair of beautiful legs are wearing fine black fishnet stockings, which are sexy and eye-catching, hot and fashionable. Looking forward to the next date, this task is very simple. As long as you don't disappoint the other party, but satisfy them, and then propose something to play on the next date, you can complete it. The problem is another task goal. Knee pillow on this pair of beautiful legs for 3 minutes. Looking at Yuki Ichino's plump thighs and slender calves, with the matching black fishnet stockings, even in the dim light, they all set off the white and soft legs. Kurosawa Hikari's heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Kurosawa, it's your turn to make a request. At this moment, Shiina Ian's voice rang out. 1 minute is very short, and it passed in the blink of an eye. After receiving the punishment, Matsushita Hitomi had a messy hair and a flushed face, which made her look particularly attractive. Have you thought about it? Shiina Lan stood beside her with a smile on her face. Matsushita Hitomi rides on Yamamoto. Yamamoto hugs her waist, buries his head in her arms and licks her collarbone, for 1 minute. Kurosawa Hikari thought about it, and he couldn't fall behind, so he made a request. Kurosawa learns so quickly, he is worthy of being a top student, he has grasped the essence. Punishment is to pursue excitement, but you can be bolder. Hearing this request, Xian thought it was not bad and praised. For lovers, tongue kissing is a trivial matter. In comparison, other actions seem more exciting and more exciting to bystanders. That's right, the requirements of the couple's adventure are not about how intimate they are, but about visual stimulation. Losing the game is not for the loser to enjoy, but for the winner to enjoy the fruits of victory. Can you be more daring? Wait for the next round. Kurosawa Hikaru said with a faint smile. The winning streak declaration has appeared. Kurosawa still has the confidence to win the second round. Xian was very supportive, shouting and making the room very lively. Soon, Matsushita Hitomi also turned around and sat on her boyfriend's arms. Because of the angle, Akazuki Aoi and Xian, as well as their boyfriends, all moved to the side for a better viewing experience. As for Kurosawa Hikaru and Ichino's Yuki, they could only see their backs while sitting in the same place, and they could not see them completely. Although they adjusted their postures according to the original plan and only saw their backs. But after Kurosawa Hikaru made the request, he saw the situation on the other side and was a little eager to move. He also wanted to run to the side like others to see more clearly. You know, Matsushita Hitomi is a petite loli, while her boyfriend is a tough guy, very tall. With such a huge height difference, the visual effect of hugging each other is very strong. However, Kurosawa Hikari looked at Ichino's Yuki beside him and suppressed this thought. He came for a date this time, unlike those couples who have been dating for a long time, who are just here for fun. What he has to do is to give Yuki a perfect date and complete the task. Before the date is over, he can't do anything to lose favor. After all, this is related to whether his entry-level singing voice is a 24-hour experience card or permanent. He has experienced the power of this entry-level singing voice, which is extremely powerful. We must think of a way that will not lose favor and can be used as a pillow on the knee. Retracting his gaze, Kurosawa Hikari fell into thinking, and while his thoughts were turning, he also subconsciously stole a glance at her beautiful legs. Yuki Ichino's didn't notice his gaze at all, because the requirements of this adventure were not as exciting as before, but just right. She stared at the opposite side with wide eyes, tilting her head from time to time. 2 updates every day, please collect, read and recommend. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 13. After the first round of duel, everyone was familiar with today's gameplay and process, and gradually got into the state, and the atmosphere gradually became heated. I must win it back. Hitomi Matsushita was very angry, and even more unwilling to do so, she clenched her pink fists. You are so motivated, let you sing first. Chiyukui was a little funny when she saw her reaction. It's not that easy to win back. After all, if the 4 couples want to win, they have to be at least the top 2. Moreover, the ability to sing cannot be improved in a short time. At the very least, singing is a talent that cannot be significantly improved in just a few hours, unless there is a very professional teacher teaching it. Everyone chooses a song. After choosing the song, the second round begins. As the winner, Aoi Shiina naturally wanted to continue. As she spoke, she also looked at Kurosawa Hikaru and Ichino's Yuki. Tonight, she must punish them with a big adventure. It must be very exciting and over the top. Not long after, as the karaoke machine spun around in everyone's hands, the second round began. The couple team of Hitomi Matsushita and Yamamoto took turns singing and scored 165 points, which was even lower than the first round. Hitomi Matsushita felt desperate about this result without even waiting for others to sing. With this score, they are definitely at the bottom. After taking turns, the second round ended quickly. The song Kurosawa Hikaru chose this time is the love song Spring, Summer, Autumn, and Winter by the hip-hop group Hill Crim. It is also one of the few songs that left an impression on him. The lyrics are very romantic. The first place is still the couple combination of Kurosawa and Itchy Nose, with a score of 183. Kurosawa, didn't you say you rarely sing? Why are your love songs so strong? It's 98 again, 95 again. Shiana Blue announced the ranking again and was very disappointed. It's true that I seldom sing, but I take my music classes very seriously and have done some research on singing techniques, Kurosawa explained, spreading his hands. In fact, he didn't do very well in music class, but it was so far that it would be too shocking to say that he didn't study seriously. It's too foul to be a top student. Realizing that he had seriously studied singing, Aoi Shiana suddenly frowned. According to this situation, wouldn't it be impossible to achieve her goal of punishing Kurosawa? It seems that it will be difficult for Hitomi and I to win tonight. Chiyukoi thought that he was a top student with a strong learning ability and had also learned singing-related skills. She was a little helpless, but she was not very surprised. To be honest, Yuki's boyfriend is so good, almost perfect. Immediately afterwards, the second round of punishment began. Because they understand the essence of adventure and pursue excitement, Kurosawa Hikaru and Itchy Nose Yuki's requests are bolder this time. Anyway, they are not punished. It's just that no matter how bold he is, he can't compare to Shiana Ai. That's called unrestrained. Intermission, let's have something to eat first. After 2 rounds of punishment, Chiyukoi took charge. Yuki, your boyfriend is too strong, how did you find him? As Hitomi Matsushita was at the bottom, she had to be punished twice in each round. She became weak and even had no intention of competing. I didn't find it, he sent it himself. Faced with this problem, Itchy Nose Yuki looked at Kurosawa Hikaru beside him and said, "Did you bring it here yourself?" Hitomi Matsushita was a little curious. "Please tell your story." Shiana Ai was also interested. A year and a half ago, I was admitted to Tokyo University. When I came to Tokyo, I met Xiao Yuki on the first train to Tokyo University. When I saw her on the train for the first time, I thought she was very beautiful. After hesitating for a few sights, I finally plucked up the courage to strike up a conversation. Facing everyone's onlookers, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled and said, "Yuki is indeed beautiful." Hinata agreed when she heard this. Although in this hot girl group, every hot girl is a beauty in her own way. But if we really want to judge the appearance and figure, Itchy Nose Yuki is definitely the most beautiful. Their buddies are always jealous whenever they see the photos. What an ordinary encounter! Hitomi Matsushita was a little disappointed. This is just the beginning, the excitement is about to begin. Shiana Ai has a different view. Although her character is impatient, she is also very nymphomaniac and likes to watch various idol dramas. The more ordinary the encounter, the more exciting the story will be. Then, Kurosawa, how did you strike up a conversation? Sato was a little curious as to how Kurosawa caught up with Yuki Itchy Nose. I walked up and said hello. Regarding this story, I compiled it last night. If Kurosawa Hikaru wanted to endorse it, it would be simple. Then what? Xiao Yuki was listening to music with headphones on and didn't hear it at all. Wow! This is too embarrassing. As soon as these words came out, everyone reacted violently, and they felt embarrassed just thinking about it. I found out about it, so I reached over and took off one of her headphones and said hello again. Hello, I'm Hikaru Kurosawa. Can I get to know you? Yuki, what was your reaction? I was a little confused, I didn't know why he took off my headphones, but I thought he was so handsome, so I said it's okay. In fact, This encounter story was originally written by Ichino's Yuki, but Kurosawa Hikaru felt that the story she wrote was too idle drama, so he completely changed it, making it closer to reality and easier to understand. Version that people believe. Fortunately, her sisters didn't care about how they met before. They only cared about where Yuki Ichino's first date was and what the experience was like. The encounters that followed were very ordinary, such as joining line and getting to know each other about school and hobbies. The core focus of this encounter focuses on one essence, which is speed, accuracy, and ruthlessness. We met on the first day, communicated online on the second day, dated on the third day, dated on the fourth day, hit 1, 2, and 3 bases, plus a home run, all in one go. I'll just say it's very ordinary, Hitomi Matsushita said. It took 4 days to hit a home run, which is slower than I thought. Chiyukui also thought it was ordinary and said. Is 4 days too slow? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little dumbfounded. In 4 days, from hooking up to hitting a home run, it seemed to him that it was so fast. I went to book a room on the first night we met. Chiyukui nodded and pointed at the arrogant boyfriend beside her. My brothers and I were racing that night, and we saw her walking alone on the street, so we went to chat with her and took her to race with her. Hinata, who was wearing a windbreaker and exposing her chest, smiled and explained. We were 2 days old. We were at the beach. She drowned, and I rescued her, Sato said while holding Aoi Shiina. One day, there were 4 bad guys who wanted to take Hitomi to play with them. I went up and beat those people up. Because I suffered a minor injury, Hitomi took me to her house to have it bandaged. He has a strong build, and Yamamoto, who was wearing a vest and a turban, spoke in a very cold tone. At this moment, the 3 men found an opportunity to overpower Kurosawa. Their competitiveness was aroused, and they all told their stories. A 4-day home run was nothing compared to them. No wonder you said my encounter was ordinary. Your stories are really exciting. After hearing their stories, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but applaud with admiration. The reason for admiration is not because of the speed of home runs, but because they met by chance and are still dating until now. Their relationship has lasted so long. It seems that they are in love. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 14. During the intermission, the cake box was opened. There were 8 people in total, just 1 for each person. Finally, I can have my cake and eat it too. Kurosawa used a fork to cut off a piece of cake and put it into his mouth without forgetting to speak. Does Kurosawa like eating cakes? Shiina Aoi was a little curious when she heard these impatient words. Actually, I have hypoglycemia. I woke up early this morning to go to class. I just sang for a while and I was a little dizzy. Seeing her taking the bait, Kurosawa nodded. These words made Ichino's Yuki couldn't help but take a second look, feeling a little worried. She didn't expect that Hikaru Kurosawa had hypoglycemia, woke up early in the morning and finished his classes, and now he had to accompany her to a karaoke date that he didn't usually come to. You still have low blood sugar, so your body is too weak, right? Hinata couldn't help but said after hearing this. The 3 boyfriends present are basically all very physically strong. Come to me when you have time, and I will take you to exercise, Yamamoto said. Don't take people to fight. Kurosawa is a student at Dongda University. If you start a fight, your life will be ruined. Sato glanced at him and smiled. I am measured, Yamamoto nodded, naturally understanding the reason. They are scumbags and people who don't want to study. It doesn't matter if they fight or something. But Kurosawa is different. The others are college students. Hearing what they said, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly realized that these 3 boys, although they looked very naughty and bad in their clothes and had a lot of fun, they were not bad people. In response, Kurosawa Hikaru also smiled and then ate the cake. How are you? Are you still dizzy? As his girlfriend, Yuki Itchy Nose waited until he finished eating and then expressed concern. "One thing, I'll take it easy first." Kurosawa nodded and took a deep breath. "Just lie down and take a rest." Seeing him looking a little uncomfortable, Itchy Nose Yuki also said. Immediately, she looked at the side and then at everyone, then patted her thigh and motioned for him to lie down. Finding that she took the initiative to rest her knees on his knees, Kurosawa paused and did not lie down immediately. "Hurry up." Seeing that he didn't move, and seemed to be hesitating, Itchy Nose Yuki suddenly became anxious. If everyone noticed this, it would be over. Facing her invitation again, Kurosawa Hikaru turned around and lay down instead of being respectful. This pillow, coming from the back of the head, was soft and elastic, with a slightly strange touch that made Kurosawa Hikaru's heartstrings move. In addition, there is a faint and sweet fragrance that hits the nose. In fact, this was Kurosawa's first experience with a lap pillow. It's not that he has never been in love, but in his previous life, there was no such love culture as knee pillows. After feeling the back of his head, Kurosawa's eyes were about to look up when a pair of hands pressed down. "Brother Guang, please close your eyes and rest for a while." Itchy Nose Yuki's palm gently pressed on Kurosawa's eyes, preventing him from looking at her from below. Physical contact like knee pillow is a common thing for this group of hot girls. "Are you shy?" Kurosawa Hikaru was a little funny when he heard her words, but he didn't mess around. Successfully tricking her into inviting her to take the knee pillow is already a very good result. Since Kurosawa is a little dizzy, let's sit down for a while and start the third round later. Chiyukui took a look and said without thinking much. The mission goal knee pillow for 3 minutes has been completed. Hearing this voice, Kurosawa Hikaru still didn't move and lay down for a while. This is a rare enjoyment, and it is resting on a pair of beautiful legs. It would be a pity to get up so soon. Sorry to keep you waiting for so long. After dilly-dallying for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru felt that time was almost up, so he sat up so as not to keep everyone waiting too long. "So soon? Do you want to lie down for a while?" Shianai has a good impression of him, so she is also more concerned about him. "No, let's continue the duel. When I was lying down just now, I thought of a new punishment." Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head and smiled. "Kurosawa, don't think you've won." Seeing his expression, Yamamoto was immediately unconvinced. The karaoke showdown started again, but Yamamoto yelled arrogantly and still dragged his girlfriend to the bottom. "Oh, Kurosawa, you have to be merciful." Unexpectedly, Shianai ranked third this time and became the loser, she said coquettishly. "Kurosawa, make harsh demands. This guy hasn't been punished for a long time." Chiyukui, as the second place, is not qualified to punish the third place, she said after hearing this. "It's up to Yuki to decide." Kurosawa spread his hands and said that the decision was not in his hands. Itchy Nose Yuki smiled evilly, and then proposed punishment. When she stood up, gave orders, and sat back down again, Kurosawa Hikaru came to her side. "What's wrong?" Sensing his movements, Itchy Nose Yuki was a little confused. "Next time we go on a date, let's go somewhere else, just the two of us." Kurosawa Hikaru lifted her wavy blonde hair with his hand, brought it to her ear, and whispered. Hearing these words, Itchy Nose Yuki froze as he looked at Kurosawa Hikaru, who seemed to be burying his face in his hair, so close. She was completely stirred by his actions and words, and her heartbeat accelerated. Could it be that this is an invitation for a formal date? Will they have a next date? And it's for two people, not multiple dates. Where will they go for a date for two people? What will they do? Yuki Itchy Nose only felt distracted and her imagination was running wild. To be honest, she didn't dislike Kurosawa Hikaru as a one-day boyfriend at all, and even had a good impression and liked him. Maybe it was less than 24 hours from their acquaintance to meeting, but this man had already brought her too many surprises, and even made her secretly feel lucky that she was able to buy Kurosawa Hikaru last night. Yeah, Yuki Ichino's nodded in a voice as thin as a mosquito while she was thinking wildly. It's settled. As she nodded, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled. At the same time, 2 lines of words appeared in front of his eyes. The mission goal let her look forward to the next date has been achieved. Ichino's Yuki's first date, 3 mission goals achieved, mission completed, reward entry-level singing voice, permanent. Just after reading the subtitle, Kurosawa Hikaru's mind suddenly had a lot of ideas, and his throat was itchy. That was the singing method, the use of throat sounds, the techniques of high and low voices, the change of falsetto, the persistence of long notes, and the music theory of singing. Unlike the 24-hour experience card, you can only sing it and perform it naturally. At this moment, with the emergence of these memories and knowledge, he really has an entry-level singing voice. Because of the emergence of these techniques, singing methods, and theories, Kurosawa Hikaru can feel that he will sing better than before. Even more, Kurosawa Hikaru feels that his lung capacity has been improved. Although he didn't test it specifically, he just felt this way. At the moment of getting the permanent reward, it seemed that he had learned to sing and cultivate his singing voice for countless days and months, and paid countless sweat and efforts. 2 more updates are here. Also, I would like to inform you in advance that the name of this book will be changed to Tokyo's First Love. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 15. With just a 24-hour trial card, Kurosawa Hikaru has already astonished everyone. Kurosawa Hikaru, who received a permanent reward, completely understood the method of singing. In the 4th round of the game, it was Kurosawa Hikaru's turn again. This time, the song he sang directly amazed everyone. Kurosawa, I'm serious, you should be a singer, Sato sighed. Damn, you are good at studying and you can sing so well, it's really unfair. Hinata clenched her fists, indignant. Kurosawa, is there a possibility that you are not a student of the University of Tokyo, but the Tokyo University of Music? Even Yamamoto was convinced at this moment, and found that he was getting better and better at singing, and his progress was rapid. Encore, encore, encore. One more time. Shiina Aoi's reaction was even more exaggerated, just like a fan at a concert, asking the singer to sing another song. What kind of couple's adventure is this? Listening to Kurosawa's cover is enough fun. Akizuki Aoi felt very surprised and couldn't help saying, this is really not a joke. The songs sung by Kurosawa Hikaru made her feel that they were no less inferior to the originals. What's more, because of the different voices, the experience is completely different. Aoi, you didn't lose a few times and don't want to lose any more, right? Matsushita Hitomi teased when she heard this. Speaking of losing, you are the one who lost the most. Akizuki Aoi looked at her with a smile. Let's sing together. I don't know many songs. Facing everyone's booing, Kurosawa Hikaru waved his hand. If he sang for a whole night, he would be exhausted. With your singing skills, there is no song you can't sing. Just listen to it once. Akizuki Aoi smiled when she saw that he wanted to be lazy. Hurry up, I want to record it. Shiina Lan took out her mobile phone. It's okay to record the sound, but don't record people. It's not good if the school sees it. Seeing her holding the mobile phone to him, Kurosawa Hikaru hurriedly said. He is a tutor. If the matter of appearing in such an entertainment venue is exposed, it may affect his reputation. Okay, Shiina Lan realized this concern and naturally agreed. Brother Guang, can I order a song? Yuki Ichino's also joined in the fun. As long as you like it. Kurosawa Guang smiled at her cute look. In this way, the singing of multiple dates turned into Kurosawa Guang's personal show. The party, which was supposed to end at 11 o'clock, was disbanded at around 10 o'clock. because everyone considered that he had hypoglycemia and wanted him to rest early. After paying the bill, they walked out of the karaoke bar of Huanmengyu and came to the gate. Shinjuku's night is still prosperous and lively even at 10 o'clock. After finishing the karaoke, their next stop was the Love Hotel a few hundred meters away. "Kurosawa, you must come to sing next time." After checking in and getting different room cards, Hinata gently punched Kurosawa Guang's chest with his fist, enjoying it very much. Tonight's experience was completely different from the past, and it made people have fun. "Aren't you afraid of punishment?" Kurosawa Guang had known him for a night, and he was also very familiar with him, laughing and teasing. "Your punishment is not painful, be bolder next time," Akizuki Aoi, who was hugged by his shoulders, teased. After that, they waved their hands and left first. "Kurosawa, let's meet next time. Bye." All of a sudden, everyone began to disperse and took the room card to their respective rooms. As a couple, their destination was very clear, that is, the hotel. What should we do next? Looking at the three hot girls, each following their boyfriends, Kurosawa Hikari turned his head and looked at Ichino's Yuki beside him, and asked. "Go to the room." Ichino's Yuki hesitated for a few seconds and said. "Wouldn't it be better if we sneak back home after they enter the room?" Kurosawa Hikari was a little confused. "It's still early now, and there are still many trains. Anyway, they are not staying in the same room, and there is room for maneuver after everyone separates. We are going to school together tomorrow. We haven't done it before, so we have to make up for it this time, so as not to make them suspicious. Then let's go." Realizing that she didn't want to leave, Kurosawa Hikari didn't force it and cooperated very well. He would naturally agree to book a room with a beautiful woman and stay in a hotel as long as the woman agreed. Taking the elevator to the corresponding floor, Yuki Ichinos took the room card, opened the room and walked in. Hikari Kurosawa, who was following behind, suddenly felt his heartbeat speed up when he saw her walk into the room. Unlike the karaoke just now, the next time was his and Yuki Ichino's alone time. A single man and a single woman, checking in with a hot blonde JK who had only met for less than half a day, isn't this pace too fast? He had never thought about such a thing before, but now facing it, he couldn't help but feel excited. "Why don't you come in?" Yuki Ichino stood at the entrance of the room and turned to look at Hikari Kurosawa. "I'm coming." Hikari Kurosawa came to his senses and walked in. Click. When he came in, Yuki Ichino closed the door and locked it. The sound of locking made Hikari Kurosawa look back. Could this woman want to take him down tonight? However, Yuki Ichino didn't say anything, but walked into the room. The room is very large and carpeted. Walking through the entrance you can see a large bed with heart-shaped petals on it. This is a love-themed hotel, so it's normal to have these things, but it still makes people imagine. Huh. Kurosawa Hikari walked to the small sofa and breathed a sigh of relief. Lock the door, no need to get along with her sisters anymore, today's mission is successfully completed. "Are you so tired?" Ichino's Yuki walked to the bed and sat down, smiling. "The mission is successfully completed." Kurosawa Hikari nodded. At this moment, Ichino's Yuki bent down and began to take off her shoes. Ichino's Yuki was wearing marten boots, pulled down the zipper, held the boots with one hand, and pulled her right foot out of the shoe mouth. This action made Kurosawa Hikari hold his breath. In fact, Kurosawa Hikari is not a foot control, it's just that this action is too tempting and sexy, any man can't help but care. Because the opposite sex has to take off clothes, even shoes, it is also to remove a layer of protection and defense on the body. What's more, Ichino's Yuki has a pair of beautiful legs and exquisite feet. Her right foot was wrapped in fine black fishnet stockings, her crystal white skin was revealed between the grids, her slender and straight toes were painted with bright red nail polish, which looked particularly eye-catching and attractive. Immediately afterwards, She followed the movements and took off the other shoe. The movement was very light and natural, but it made people unable to look away. Ah! It seemed that because it was hot for a long time, she finally came into contact with the cool air, which was extremely comfortable. She sat on the bed, her beautiful legs straightened, her feet twisted, her toes curled and loosened, very flexible. If you feel hot wearing these shoes, why not wear other shoes? In order to avoid embarrassment, Kurosawa Hikaru said when he found that she didn't notice him staring. You don't understand, hot girls. In summer, it should be cool and thick. It should be thick. Only in this way can it be special. With her hands propped up on the bed, Ichinose Yuki tilted her head slightly and explained seriously. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 16. Yuki Ichinose is sitting on the bed, with a graceful and slender figure. Her beautiful legs wrapped in fine black fishnet stockings look particularly white and tender under the bright white light that is different from karaoke. Through the mesh of her skin, there's even a sparkling feel to it. Those watery and sparkling blue eyes with colored contact lenses reflected Kurosawa's face. Not just the face, but the chest as well. Moving on. Her eyes were very strange, as if she had something to say, and it was breathtaking. What's wrong? Being stared directly at by her, Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little confused in his heart. Could it be said that he will graduate as an adult in this life? The target is hot girl JK, this situation seems to be good. Maybe Xiao Yuki is still JK, but she is already 18 years old, I don't know why she took a year off from junior high school. Brother Guang, how much did you spend tonight? After hesitating, Ichinose Yuki decided to ask. Kurosawa Hikaru paused, and his wild thoughts were instantly withdrawn. This suit costs RMB 43,000 for the shoes, RMB 3,000 for the earrings, RMB 10,000 for the bus fare, RMB 12,000 for the cake, and RMB 6,000 for the hairstyle. In total, it's exactly RMB 100,000. Realizing that he had thought wrongly, Kurosawa Hikaru fell silent and began to count in detail. 100,000. Every time he mentioned a sum of money, Yuki Ichinose's eyes widened, and by the end, he was even more speechless. What happened to 100,000 yuan? You spent 110,000 yuan online. Seeing her exaggerated reaction, Kurosawa was quite satisfied and joked. I bought line because I had no choice. I knew your clothes weren't cheap at first glance, and you also have shoes. Ichinose Yuki felt like she wanted to cry, but looked at his clothes with distressed eyes. For a time, she no longer had the energy to sit up any longer, but was dejected. And why do you want to take a taxi? The fare of 10,000 yuan is enough for me to take the subway for a month. After feeling distressed, Ichinose Yuki couldn't help but complain. In fact, when Kurosawa Hikaru arrived, she was not only surprised but also distressed. Because he arrived by taxi, he even took out a 10,000 yuan note and gave it to the driver, and used the extra as a tip. That's 10,000, not 100, nor 500. Just tell me whether it's handsome or not when you appear like that. Faced with her complaints, Kurosawa Hikaru leaned on the sofa and sat with his legs crossed. He's handsome, but he's so expensive. 100,000 yuan is enough for me to buy a dozen sets of clothes. Seeing his posture, Ichinose Yuki was stunned for a moment, and then he opened his hands and counted, feeling extremely tired. The salary of a part-time job is different from that of a formal job, and the salary is inherently lower. 100,000 is enough for a family, including a series of expenses such as water, electricity, and housing. Don't tell me that you won't have the money to reimburse me when you pay your salary next month. Seeing her tired reaction, Kurosawa frowned and asked. I said I will reimburse you for sure. Yuki Ichino's naturally meant what she said, but after thinking about it, she felt it was too much of a loss, so she immediately jumped off the bed and walked over. No, you, which store did you buy the clothes from? Let's go see if we can return them. Walking closer, Ichino's Yuki knelt on the sofa and reached for his collar. What do you want to do? Noticing her strange behavior, Kurosawa Hikaru allowed her to pull back her collar and just asked. Let me see if the label is still there. I cut all the labels. Ah! When Yuki Ichino's heard this, her body was like a deflated balloon. She suddenly lost all strength and collapsed on the sofa. She has a delicate and beautiful appearance and excellent body proportions. Every move she makes is extremely eye-catching. So reluctant to part with 100,000, Kurosawa looked sideways at her and asked. That's for sure. 100,000 is enough for me to buy a lot of clothes. Ichino's Yuki was very tired. When hot girls consider clothes, they don't just look at whether they are expensive or not, but at style and matching, as well as cost-effectiveness. I have a way to save you this 100,000, Kurosawa Hikaru said again after getting her approval. What can I do? Ichino's Yuki was a little moved when he heard this and immediately sat up. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't say anything. He just looked at her and then lowered his eyes. No, 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 no. Realizing his dirty look, Ichino's Yuki covered her chest with her hands and backed away crazily as if she was electrocuted. Those exquisite feet looked very cute as they stepped crazily on the sofa and backed away. However, this sofa is not big, less than 1.5 meters, and Kurosawa Hikaru can even reach out and grab those legs and feet. 100,000, don't you think about it. Seeing her reaction, the corners of Kurosawa's mouth curled up. His words were lowered in a low voice, low and magnetic, like the temptation of the devil. Entry-level singing not only taught him how to sing, but also how to use his voice. Hearing these words, Ichino's Yuki felt a little excited. Whether it is 100,000, or the person who pays 100,000, it is very tempting. It turns out that you had such bad intentions from the beginning. Is this the Todai student? So insidious. However, Ichino's Yuki quickly strengthened his mind. There's no need for you to be a map cannon. My actions only represent me personally, not the school. Kurosawa Hikari, who was teasing her, froze in the face of such criticism. It is necessary. I tell you, I will never sell my body, Ichino's Yuki said firmly. After saying that, she thought that she would have to stay in this room with this guy tonight, and suddenly felt like a sheep in the mouth of a wolf. Really? Even if he performed well in karaoke, and looked like he didn't covet my beauty at all, it was just to paralyze himself. Now that it was time to be alone, his true colors were exposed. Who said I want you to sell your body? Seeing that her expression was getting more and more intense, it seemed that she was doing some kind of psychological activity. Before she was completely misunderstood, Kurosawa Hikari said. Isn't that what you mean? Ichino's Yuki was stunned when she heard the words, and the random thoughts in her heart slowed down. It's not that I don't mean it at all. Kurosawa Hikari saw that she relaxed her vigilance and teased again. What do you want to do? Ichino's Yuki looked at his smile and suddenly became anxious. I just need your mouth. Kurosawa Mitsuru saw that her patience was exhausted, and looked at her pink lips with lipstick, bright and moist, which looked very tempting. That won't work either. Yuki Ichino's realized his goal, thought of something, and immediately covered her mouth. Her pretty face flushed. Is this pervert actually targeting here? Could it be that when he looked at her and talked during the video call last night, he was already ready to make a move? As a hot girl JK, she is also one of the celebrities in the school. She knows very well how powerful her beauty and appearance are to men. Kiss me, and the 100,000 will be written off. With her firm refusal, Kurosawa Mitsuru roughly figured out her thoughts, raised his hand and poked his cheek, and then slowly added. Can you comment on the follow-up reading, and also ask for recommendation votes? Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 17. No. Yuki Ichino's, who was full of resistance, refused without hesitation. Okay, when are you going to get your salary next month? Faced with her successive rejections, Kurosawa shrugged and gave up. He sighed and asked instead. Wait, what did you just say? But at this moment, Ichino's Yuki suddenly reacted, a little dumbfounded. Kiss me and cancel it all. Seeing that she finally reacted, Kurosawa Hikaru patiently repeated. Kiss you on the face and cancel it all? That's 100,000. Yuki Ichino's wondered if she had heard wrongly and was shocked. 100,000 is a lot of money for any high school student. You know, for a normal high school student, the amount of money his family will give him is only about 20,000 yuan a month. If the family is richer, it may be a little more, such as 30,000 to 40,000 yuan. In addition, if high school students work part-time, they have to go every day after school and work overtime on weekends, which only costs 80,000 to 90,000 yuan a month. In any case, 100,000 is a very high amount of money. Even for those JKS who need assistance, 100,000 is still a very large amount of money. Maybe she has never done it, but she has heard of it. After all, hot girls are one of the most gossipy groups in school and know too many things. If you feel like you're taking advantage, you can kiss me a few more times. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her shocked expression and said teasingly. Mua, mua, mua. As soon as he finished speaking, Ichino's Yuki rushed forward, hugged Kurosawa's head, and kissed him quickly on the face. This kiss with his head in his hands made Kurosawa Hikaru stunned. Write it off. After coming back to his senses, Ichino's Yuki held Kurosawa's head in both hands and confirmed with a serious face. Her face was a little red, and she felt ashamed, so she decided to make a quick decision. No, try again, you kissed me too fast, I didn't even have time to feel it. His head hurt from being shaken. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head when he saw her cute reaction. MUA. Seeing that he was cheating, Ichino's Yuki simply put her lips on his face again and kissed him hard. This time, Kurosawa Hikaru directly felt her warm, soft, lipstick-tinged, sticky kiss. Write it off, Yuki Ichino's asked after kissing her again seriously. Kurosawa Hikaru stopped playing tricks and nodded. After receiving his affirmation, Ichino's Yuki's depressed mood immediately disappeared. Yeah, the next moment, she jumped up and stood on the sofa cheering. You really got a bargain. Finding that she could express her feelings, Kurosawa Mitsuru sat there, rubbed her face with her hands and said. Brother Guang, why are you rubbing your face? Ichino's Yuki, who was extremely happy, suddenly stopped smiling when she saw his actions. Put on lipstick. Kurosawa Hikaru said matter-of-factly. When this girl was at karaoke, she would touch up her makeup and lipstick every time she went to the bathroom. During those few kisses just now, although he didn't look in the mirror, it was not difficult to predict that his face was covered with lipstick marks. Sure enough, after rubbing his face, Kurosawa looked down and saw that his palms were very red. Mua, mua. But at this moment, Yuki Ichino's bent down, hugged his face again, and kissed him twice. What are you doing? Taking advantage of me? Kurosawa Hikaru didn't expect that she would kiss him again, so he couldn't help being stunned and said immediately. Did this girl get a kiss on the face and a certain switch was turned on? Yuki Ichino's didn't deny it and sat down next to him. Brother Guang, I feel like your ex-girlfriend really suffered a big loss. Ichino's Yuki put her legs on the ground, bumped her feet together, and couldn't help but said. Right? I think so too. Speaking of this matter, Kurosawa Hikaru also felt the same way. Whenever a woman misses him, it will be a loss in this life. So narcissistic. Seeing his natural reaction, Ichi-no's Yuki snickered. This is called self-knowledge, Kurosawa Hikaru hummed. Brother Guang, you are really good. You are ranked 7th in the country. I was stunned at the time. Seeing the proud look on his face, Ichi-no's Yuki was not disgusted, and raised his head and sighed as his legs swayed. When Aoi said she was ranked 7th in the country, her mood was one of shock, excitement, and infinite satisfaction of vanity. I have to say that today's date was so great that she will never forget it for the rest of her life. It's not very powerful. There were still 6 people who were better than me back then. Kurosawa Hikaru pretended to be humble, but in reality he was still very proud of himself. Ever since he was a child, he had been determined to be a top student. He had studied sleepless nights for so many years, and being able to achieve 7th place in the country was the most proud thing in his life. And you are so handsome and can sing. You said you have never been to a karaoke bar and your singing level is only at the entry level, but your singing skills are the same as those of professional singers. Did you deliberately lie to me last night? Yuki Ichi-no's recalled every detail of tonight's date. The more she thought about it, the happier she became, and then she asked her doubts. I'm not lying to you. I have never been to a karaoke bar. As for why it's like professional singers, it can only be said that their singing skills are just getting started. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head and said. Have you ever learned to sing? Because he was in a very good mood, Yuki Ichi-no's, who had been teased just now and was relieved of his defensiveness, sat with him, arms close to each other. Learned it in music class. Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at it pretending to be unaware and said. Have you ever taken any training classes? No. Then you have great talent and are so handsome. Why don't you become a singer? I feel that if you become a singer, you will definitely become famous. This is Neon. In response to this suggestion, Kurosawa shook his head after thinking about it. In fact, he also wanted to be a star when he was a child, but gave up when he thought the stage was neon. After all, neon singers and celebrities are different from the country he lived in his previous life. They are not as profitable, and they are more tired and miserable. What happened to neon? It's okay, it's just that there's no way to make money as a singer. It's a pity. Realizing that he didn't want to be a singer at all, Yuki Ichi-no's felt a little regretful. I have to say that in the second half of the karaoke party, as the light entered the stage, it directly turned into a solo concert. Every song he sings is no less than the original one, and even has his own characteristics. What's more, no matter what kind of voice it is, you can master it just by listening to it once, and you can cover it perfectly, which is simply terrifying. It's late, it's time to go to bed. Kurosawa Hikaru smiled and reminded. You'll sleep on the bed later, and I'll sleep on the sofa. Ichi-no's Yuki had been diverting his attention, but he had to face it after all. His happy expression gradually faded, and he said after thinking deeply. Aren't you going to sleep together? Kurosawa looked at her. Well. Looking at his handsome face with a smile on his face, Ichi-no's Yuki couldn't tell for a moment whether he was joking or testing, and was entangled in his heart. To be honest, the first time she was handed over to a super handsome guy like Brother Guang, she was not very repelled. But the problem is that although she is a hot girl, she debuted in high school after all. Unlike the other 3 sisters, she has been very open-minded since she was a child. She thought it was inappropriate to hit a home run in one night, and the resistance from the bottom of her heart developed so quickly. You're kidding, I'll sleep on the sofa later and you can sleep on the bed. The same goes for Kurosawa Hikaru. Seeing her getting entangled, he said before she made a decision. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 18. The sofa is so small, and you are so tall, you can't sleep on it. You sleep on the bed and I sleep on the sofa. Having made the decision first, Itchy Nose Yuki immediately shook her head. For her, Brother Guang has helped her a lot today. Whether it is giving her face, pretending to be her boyfriend, or shining at the karaoke, so that she has not been punished once, and today's expenses do not need to be reimbursed by her later. With all the favors in front of her, she absolutely cannot let Brother Guang sleep on a sofa that does not match the size. Letting a beautiful woman sleep on the sofa is not my style. I'll sleep on the floor. The floor is spacious enough and there is a carpet. Kurosawa Hikari also has his reasons. After thinking, he looked at the floor. The carpet is so dirty. Itchy Nose Yuki, with a pair of feet on the floor, looked down and said immediately. You said that, the cleaner of the hotel will be unhappy, Kurosawa Hikari teased. It's just very dirty. Even if the cleaners clean it every day, it's not clean enough. Although she said this, Yuki Itchy Nose still insisted on her own opinion. Carpets are carpets, and people step on them. What should I do? Anyway, I don't want you to sleep on the sofa. Seeing her firm attitude, Kurosawa Hikari was at a loss. Then sleep on the bed together. Yuki Itchy Nose thought about it and couldn't do anything, so she could only say. After that, she felt something was wrong, so she raised a finger and added, but you can't mess around. There is a book that says that girls say no, Yamate, but actually say yes. Hiroshi Kurosawa heard this choice and leaned on the sofa and said. What kind of bad book are you reading? Yuki Itchy Nose probably guessed what book he was talking about, and she said shyly, anyway, when I say no, I mean no. Okay, Kurosawa Hikari nodded and stopped teasing her. We need to take a shower before going to bed. Should you take a shower first, or should I? After deciding where to sleep, Itchy Nose Yuki thought of another question. You take a shower. I won't take a shower because I didn't bring any change of clothes. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head without even thinking about it. He did have this idea at first. Although they had agreed to get a room, everything was still uncertain and there was still a chance of a turnaround. You didn't take a shower. Boys are different from girls. They rarely bring bags when they go out. I was thinking if I could sneak home tonight. I have to stay here tonight, so I have to wake up early tomorrow. Why do you have to wake up early? I have to go home and change clothes. I can't wear clothes like this to school. Kurosawa Hikaru pulled his clothes and explained. He has always been a top 5 student in school. If he wears such fashionable and unruly clothes to school, who knows what kind of sensation it will cause. That's true. Itchy Nose Yuki thought about it and felt that it made sense that she brought her school uniform. With her clothes, it would be a problem to get into school. I'm going to take a shower. Don't peek. Thinking that it was a bit late, Yuki Itchy Nose stood up and walked forward a few steps, then turned around and reminded. I'll go to the corridor for a while. In response to this reminder, Kurosawa Hikaru was very straightforward, stood up with his hands in his pockets and walked forward. Why do you want to go to the corridor? As he walked to her side, Yuki Itchy Nose was puzzled. Such a beautiful woman is taking a shower, I'm afraid I can't help it. Kurosawa Hikaru slightly tilted his head, looked at Yuki Itchy Nose's appearance, and said seriously. What if we are caught by others? His attitude and eyes made Yuki Itchy Nose feel nervous, but she still had concerns. I'll just say I'm going out to buy something. Even if you say you're going to buy something, it's easy to arouse suspicion. I'll just say I'm going to buy a specific brand of condoms. I'm not used to other brands. Kurosawa Hikaru thought of a very appropriate reason and continued to walk out. But before he took 2 steps, his clothes were pulled. Turning back, I saw Yuki Itchy Nose tugging at his clothes and whispering. Don't bother, just stay in the room. Aren't you afraid that I'll peek? Kurosawa Hikari saw her lowering her head and teased. Todai students are so bad. Seeing his smile and bad look, Yuki Itchy Nose rolled her eyes, stamped her feet and said coquettishly, and then ran past him. When passing by, Kurosawa Hikari saw her profile, which was red. This fleeting profile made Kurosawa Hikari stunned. Suddenly, he remembered a novel he had read in his previous life. There are not many truths in this world, and a woman's blush is better than a long dialogue Laoshi. Kurosawa Hikari did not have the ability to read minds, and did not know what Yuki Ichino's really thought. But what is certain is that this blushing reaction, the meaning revealed, makes people's hearts beat and their imaginations run wild. After being distracted for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru finally reacted with the sound of water dripping from the bathroom. Putting aside the distracting thoughts in his mind, Kurosawa Hikaru returned to the sofa and took out his mobile phone. He opened the software skillfully and swiped his finger to a familiar position. It was the line of his ex-girlfriend, Akaritsu Mujika. He had known each other for a month, dated for half a month, and had been attracted to his girlfriend for so many nights. It was impossible to say that he didn't mind at all. However, he did mind a little, but not much. After all, it was not because of his mistakes that the ex-girlfriend broke up with him. Rather, this relationship was wrong from the beginning. He was treated as a fish by the Queen of the Sea. Kirika, you've lost a lot. After looking deeply for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru's fingers moved, and he finally deleted the friend while talking to himself. After finishing the matter, Kurosawa Hikaru put down his phone, his eyes wandered, and he looked at the room. It was his first time to come to a love hotel. He had booked a room in his previous life, but the couple-themed room in Japan was quite special. Just then, he saw a wardrobe. This discovery made him stand up and walk forward to verify a conjecture. Soon, he walked to the wardrobe and opened it directly. It's true. When he opened it, the dazzling array of clothes made Kurosawa Hikaru dazzled. According to the anime he had watched before, there were many cosplay clothes in the love-themed hotel in Japan. I never had the opportunity to verify it before, but now it was right in front of me, so I naturally wanted to take a look. As it turned out, the plot in the anime did not lie to him. Nurses, bunny girls, teacher OL uniforms, school girls, stewardesses, school uniforms, catgirl uniforms, fox girl uniforms, succubus, leather jackets, there are even all kinds of anime costumes. These clothes are very hot and light. With so many women's clothes in front of him, Kurosawa Mitsuru took a few glances and couldn't help but pick up the fox girl suit. Is the tail like this? It feels pretty good. Holding it in his hand, Kurosawa Mitsuru turned it over and took a look, and couldn't help but mutter to himself. This fox girl's tail seems to stretch out from under the skirt, which makes people imagine, but it is actually a pendant sewn inside the bottom of the skirt, not an insert. At this moment, the bathroom door was gently opened, and Ichino's Yuki walked out. 2 more are sent, please recommend votes, please read, it's hard to write without feedback. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 19. The bathroom door faces the entrance, not the bed. Ichino's Yuki walked out carrying a bag. After a few steps, he turned the corner and saw Hikaru Kurosawa in front of the closet, and the clothes in his hands. Brother Guang, what are you doing? Seeing this scene, Ichino's Yuki was a little curious. It's okay. I heard that there are a lot of cosplay clothes in love hotels. I want to see if it's true. Kurosawa Hikaru was not embarrassed when she discovered him and said calmly. Just holding such a set of clothes, there is no need to be embarrassed and ashamed. You know, when it comes to karaoke, because the more you play, the more you go overboard, there are many things that are more embarrassing than this. Yuki Ichino's didn't react at all, just nodded. Although she looked calm on the surface, her heart was beating wildly, and she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It turns out that she was just curious to take a look, not because she wanted me to wear it. If Brother Guang wanted her to wear it, she wouldn't know how to refuse. Did you wash it? Kurosawa Hikaru hung up the fox girl suit, closed the closet, and looked at her. Itchy Nose Yuki was looked at by his eyes and nodded a little nervously. Because unlike before, she was wearing no makeup just after taking a shower. Since entering high school, she has not been seen without makeup for a long time, not counting her parents. Is this what you look like without contact lenses? Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her face, looked at it carefully and then asked. No longer wearing heavy makeup and showing off her fashionable looks, Yuki Ichino's facial features without makeup are very beautiful and can be said to be a natural beauty. However, he was not surprised at all. Among the four hot girls, they also wear heavy makeup, but Yuki's makeup is relatively light, but her appearance and charm are the most dazzling. From this alone, it can be seen that she has a very good appearance. In contrast, because of the contact lenses, he had never known what Yuki's real eyes looked like. Now when I look at it, it is a blue and clear color, shining like a gem. Yeah, what's wrong? Hearing this question, Itchy Nose Yuki touched the corners of his eyes and wanted to hide. Very beautiful. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head slightly and smiled. Whether it's her bare makeup, her real eyes, or her JK uniform, compared to the hot fashion before, she now looks a bit pure and sweet and youthful, very beautiful and moving. Such a straightforward and sincere compliment made Itchy Nose Yuki feel a little at a loss. The same as you. At a loss, Itchy Nose Yuki raised his head, glanced at Kurosawa Hikaru, and whispered. This is also her true words. The light eyes are dark and deep, calm, revealing a sense of intellectual and confident maturity. This is completely different from the high school students she usually sees. He looks like a mature and stable adult who has experienced a lot. I'm going to wash up. When she complimented him in return, Kurosawa was stunned for a moment, then smiled. As he walked over, Yuki Itchy Nose took a step back with her bare feet, stepped aside, covered her mouth and snickered. Brother Guang, did you feel moved when you saw my bare face just now? In response to the teasing, Kurosawa just glanced at her and walked into the bathroom without answering. The bathroom was still hot and very clean. There was no change of clothes, and Yuki-chan probably kept them all in her bag. She did it so thoroughly, it was obvious that she had thought about what she should do before. Hotels usually have disposable toiletries. Kurosawa took them apart, brushed his teeth, washed his face, and took off his earrings. Walking out of the bathroom, Kurosawa found that a few lights in the room had been extinguished and it looked a little dim. I'll sleep on this side. Brother Guang, you sleep on that side? Itchy Nose Yuki had already gotten under the quilt on the bed to avoid embarrassment. Good. Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at her and got on the bed from the other side. Before going to bed, Kurosawa discovered that two small gadgets wrapped in plastic were missing from the box on the bedside table. It was obvious that Xiao Yuki was moving a lot while he was washing. In response, Kurosawa Hikaru just smiled and then lay down. As he lay down, Yuki Itchy Nose turned off the last bedside lamp. Aren't you going to cover yourself with a quilt? After waiting for a while, Yuki Itchy Nose couldn't help but notice that he didn't move at all. Don't cover it, it's quite hot. Cover it and turn on the air conditioner to avoid catching a cold. Itchy Nose Yuki moved and covered him with the quilt. Covered with a quilt, as the distance got a little closer, Kurosawa Hikaru immediately smelled a woman's fragrance. Aren't you afraid that I'll mess around? Kurosawa joked. I believe you. Yuki Itchy Nose couldn't tell whether he was testing or joking, so she just murmured behind his back. Ha ha ha. Kurosawa Hikaru laughed, the sound of his laughter was quite loud. Brother Guang, why were you admitted to Dongda University? Ichi-nose Yuki didn't ask him why he was laughing. As the lights disappeared and the environment darkened, he asked the biggest doubt in his heart. Before today, she didn't know many college students, such as those from Dongda University, and she didn't even think about it. She could never imagine in her life what kind of people could be admitted to Dongda University. Because I want to make a lot of money. Kurosawa Hikaru has no ideals, only one pursuit. It's really profitable. You haven't even graduated yet, but you've made so much money as a tutor. Realizing that his idea was so realistic, Yuki Ichi-nose thought about it and was a little envious. Hourly wages of 20,000, it's really scary to think about it. Why do you have to play with Aoi and the others? After answering her question, Kurosawa Hikari also asked the biggest question in his heart. This little Yuki looks hot, sexy, and experienced, but in fact, she is a pure high school student, even more pure than the average JK. Are you asking this because everyone played so much today? Yeah. What do you think of me, brother Guang? Very beautiful. If you can go to Tokyo University, you will definitely be the school belle, Kurosawa Hikari said sincerely while lying flat. To be honest, Yuki Ichi-nose is really very beautiful. If we only talk about reality, Yuki can be said to be among the top 3 girls he has ever seen in his life. I was like this in junior high school, and everyone called me the school belle. Yuki Ichi-nose did not deny it, but followed this answer and talked about it. At that time, there were a lot of boys who liked me. I received a lot of love letters every day, and some people stopped me after school to confess their love. However, I was not very interested in people of my age, so I rejected them all. Until one day, a boy who liked me and confessed to me more than a dozen times suddenly became angry and started to call me a whore. He said that he saw me walking on the street with an uncle's hand last night. Is that true? When Kurosawa Hikaru heard this, his mind sank. After the test just now, he could be completely sure that Xiao Yuki would never sell her body for money. From the time and place, he should have seen me and my father on the street. You tried to explain, but it didn't work. Ichi-nose Yuki's tone was a little heavy. No matter how much I explained, it was useless, even if my father came to school to testify for me. Even if my father stood in front of him, the boy insisted that I was selling outside. The school believed me, and the boy was ordered to resign by the school, but those who were jealous of me still believed in this matter. In the end, I was isolated. Tokyo's most affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 20. That's disgusting. Realizing what Ichi-nose Yuki had experienced, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but feel a little depressed. If you don't get it, you will destroy it. People who take revenge on society are simply scum. Ichi-nose Yuki was silent for a while, seeming to agree, and then continued. Because of this, I took a year off from junior high school. Later I went back to school, but because I didn't leave Tokyo, even if I went to a new school, some people knew about the rumor. Until now, some people still believe it. This is even a matter of faith. The reason why I became a hot girl is because when I was bullied after I dropped out of school, I found that when facing the hot girls in my grade, although we discussed and joked about them in private, we never dared to talk to them face to face and would retreat when we saw them. Through this, I discovered one thing: even if you look very good, there is nothing you can do about being said to be a bad person, and people will bully you because you look kind. I'm glad that I transferred to a co-ed school instead of an all-girls school. Because in junior high school, if there weren't some boys who liked me, I don't know what would have happened. I went through a lot, so I decided before I entered high school that I wanted to be a hottie. Then I managed to meet Aoi on the first day of school and became friends until now. Although people will still make jokes and make jokes secretly, at least the bad things will not appear in front of our eyes. Good people are bullied by others, and evil people are feared by others. After hearing this story, Kurosawa Hikaru expressed his thoughts. Is this why she took a year off from school? Being isolated and bullied in school. From this point of view, it is impossible for Xiao Yuki to quit the Spice Girls group. Unless she graduates, enters the society, or is admitted to a university in another city, can she change her face and start over. As for until then, she can only be a hottie. After telling his story, Yuki Ichino smiled and said, I'm actually very happy to be with Aoi and the others. Because they are very good at playing. I don't mean that they play too much, but they really like to play. Especially Lan, no matter what they play, as long as she is here, she will never ignore anyone. Even if someone wants to be lazy, she will force them to play with them. Indeed, that Hitomi has a more difficult character. Kurosawa Hikaru thought about tonight's experience. Although it was a shameful and over-the-top affair, the party atmosphere was very good except for the punishment. Hitomi is like that, but she's not a bad person. She quite competes with me in school. Sensing that he was complaining a little, Ichino's Yuki immediately laughed. What kind of dispute? For example, if someone says I am a bitch who sells her body, she will say it doesn't matter if you sell your body, can you afford it? Does this count as a fight? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little speechless. Doesn't this make things darker with more smear? At least you spoke for me and scared people away. Okay, Kurosawa Hikaru didn't quite understand her situation, so he stopped arguing with her after thinking about it. Unlike those people at school, Hitomi and their boyfriends believed that I was not that kind of person, because I told them the day after joining the group that I had a college student boyfriend, and they also knew about my money. Earned from part-time job. What kind of job do you have? Flat model. How much money do you have per month? It depends on the situation, usually about 150,000 yuan a month. It takes 5 shootings, with an average of 30,000 yuan per time. Basically, I shoot for half a day on weekends. There are quite a few. Kurosawa Hikaru originally thought that graphic models were quite profitable. You make too much. 15,000 a month is already a lot for a high school student. Yuki Ichino was speechless and indignant. Then your salary is so high, how come you are so poor just by buying a line account? I want to buy clothes, have my hair done, buy all kinds of things, travel, and pretend to go on a date with my boyfriend. I don't have much savings at all. It's such a big effort. Brother Guang, thank you. In fact, Aoi and Hitomi were a little suspicious of me before, whether I was lying. If I was caught lying, I would probably be kicked out of the team, because the most important thing for everyone is to be sincere in making friends. You're welcome. After all, you bought me for 10,000 yuan. Kurosawa joked about his own embarrassment. I have to say, being dumped by my ex-girlfriend and being sold to another girl for 10,000 yuan is an experience that no one else has. Hee, I got a big deal. Ichino Yuki's attitude towards this matter was actually happy. If she hadn't bought that line, she might never have known Guang in her life. Go to sleep, we have to get up early to go to school tomorrow. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't know why she smiled so happily, he just waved his hand and said. Ichino Yuki nodded and stopped talking. After deciding to go to bed, Kurosawa Hikaru picked up the phone, woke up the screen and started operating it. He will get up early tomorrow, go home and change clothes before going to school. Just when he was setting the alarm clock, Yuki Ichino suddenly turned around and came over. In the dark, lightless room, there was only the light coming from the phone screen. Brother Guang. Ichino Yuki came closer and whispered. What's wrong? Kurosawa Hikaru turned his head slightly and found that her face was so close, his heartbeat was a little faster, and he didn't know what she wanted to do. The two faces were 1 centimeter apart, and their breaths would hit each other's faces, which was very warm. Under the light of the mobile phone, their eyes met and trembled. Nothing was said, but it made people's heart beat faster. After looking at each other for a while, talking with heartbeats, Itchy Nose Yuki finally closed her eyes, and her eyelashes like a palm leaf fan trembled slightly, as if she was a sleeping beauty waiting for the prince's kiss. When she closed her eyes, Kurosawa Hikari was stunned. Did Xiao Yuki let me kiss her? Why did you do this suddenly? After taking a bath, she took off her makeup and no longer applied lipstick. Her cherry lips looked very pink and soft, and Kurosawa Hikari's heartbeat accelerated. What do you want to do? After hesitating for a while, Kurosawa Hikari did not speak, and asked. I want to give you my first kiss. Itchy Nose Yuki opened her eyes, looked at the heart-beating handsome face, and said in a shy voice. That's not possible. Kurosawa Hikari shook his head at this statement. Why? Because it's my first kiss, too. Really? Is this Guang's first kiss too? This response startled Itchy Nose Yuki, and her heartbeat accelerated. Originally, she thought that today's perfect date must be thanked anyway, so she used her first kiss to let Guang take advantage of her. But now it seems that it's hard to say who took advantage of whom. Let's talk about it next time. Kurosawa Hikari thought it was too early and postponed it. To be honest, he was not very confident in himself, and was a little worried that he would not be able to hold back after a kiss and go for a home run. That's true. Itchy Nose Yuki nodded, and then turned around. At the same time, a frame appeared in front of Kurosawa Hikari. Congratulations to the host, the achievement Unreachable is activated, and 3 lucky draws are awarded. Achievement Unreachable, what you can't get is always a commotion, chase me, I'm not a man you can easily get. Activation conditions, reject a woman's love without dampening her enthusiasm. Number of times 1/1. 2 more are coming, please vote.